Come, sit for a moment. You've been carrying so much, walking with a heart that has forgotten how to rest. The world has been loud, hasn't it? Your days have felt heavier than they should. And your nights, they've stretched long and quiet, filled with thoughts you didn't ask for, worries you didn't want. So come closer, here, beside this gentle fire. Not a fire that burns, but a fire that warms. A fire that invites you to breathe again, to let your shoulders fall from your ears, to release the tightness in your chest. You don't have to be strong in this moment. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to hide the exhaustion in your voice or the ache tucked behind your silence. Just sit. Just be. Just arrive as you are. Because tonight, this fire is not made of wood or flame. It is made of remembrance, of stillness, of the quiet comfort that comes when a believer sits with their Lord, even if they haven't spoken to Him at all, even if they feel far away, even if their heart feels dim. The night folds around you now, soft, velvet-like, the kind of night that asks nothing of you except honesty. Honesty with yourself, with your fatigue, with the depths you rarely let others see. And in this quiet, in this stillness, let me tell you something that your heart has needed to hear. You are seen, you are known, and you are held by the one who created you. Allah is with you wherever you are. You may have heard this verse before, but tonight, let it sink deeper wherever you are, not just in place, but in emotion, in confusion, in loneliness, in exhaustion, in the place inside your chest you don't have words for. Wherever you are, He is with you. You don't need to impress Him. You don't need to bring perfect faith, perfect focus, perfect strength. He does not wait for you to be flawless before He draws near. He does not demand perfection from a tired soul. He simply says, "Come to me." And here you are, sitting beside the fire with whatever pieces of yourself you managed to gather tonight. That is enough. More than enough. Take a breath. Slowly. Deeply. Let the cold air of the night enter your lungs, and let the warmth of remembrance return with your exhale. You may not have felt close to Allah recently. You may have slipped in your prayers, in your dua, in your habits. You may have been lost in distraction, in sadness, in confusion. But nothing makes Him turn away from you. The Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, told us that Allah never tires of answering your supplication. You might grow tired. You might grow distant. You might stop asking. But He never stops listening. Think about that. The Lord of the heavens and the earth does not grow weary of you. Your whisper is known. Your silence is known. Your trembling is known. Your hidden tears are known. Your unspoken questions, the ones you're afraid to even admit to yourself. He knows them before they form. And still, He loves you. Not because of what you do. Not because of your success or clarity or consistency. But because He chose to create you. Because He honored you. Because He made you worthy of love simply by bringing you into existence. So sit here by the fire of remembrance and let that truth rest on your heart like a warm blanket. You don't have to rush. You don't have to fix yourself. You don't have to figure everything out. Sometimes the soul needs nothing more than permission to stop running and to just be a servant again. Listen to the quiet crackling of the fire, the way it lifts small sparks into the night sky. Imagine for a moment that each spark is one of your burdens, rising, 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 until it disappears into the vastness above you. Not lost, just released, given to the one who can carry them better than you ever could. You've been carrying too much alone. We both know that. Your heart has been working overtime, holding fears, holding memories, holding disappointments, holding pressure, holding expectations that aren't even yours. What if, just for tonight, you set them down? What if you let the fire of remembrance soften the edges of what hurts? What if you allowed yourself to trust that Allah sees more than you show and understands more than you explain? Because He does. He knows the pathways of your heart. He knows where the cracks formed. He knows who hurt you. He knows what you lost. He knows what you prayed for and never received. He knows the chapters you don't talk about anymore. He knows the nights you went to sleep tired of yourself. He knows the longing you hide behind your daily routine. He knows. And He never left. Even when your faith felt thin, He stayed. Even when your worship weakened, He stayed. Even when you pulled away, He stayed. Even when you felt ashamed to return, He stayed. He is with you in a way no creation can be. So let this fire be your meeting place tonight. A place where you lay down your shield. A place where you stop pretending you're not hurting. A place where you allow your soul to breathe again. A place where you find, quietly, softly, that Allah has been waiting for you with more mercy than you expected. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the warmth. Feel the quiet. Feel the peace of being completely safe. The world is not watching. No one is judging. There is no expectation on your shoulders now. Just you and your Lord. Think of all the times you wanted comfort but didn't know where to find it. Think of all the nights you wished someone understood but no one did. Think of all the moments you needed reassurance but the right words never came. Tonight, those words are here. You are not alone. You were never alone. You will never be alone. Even when you felt abandoned, you were seen. Even when you felt forgotten, you were carried. Even when you felt unworthy, you were loved. Even when you felt lost, you were guided. Sometimes in ways you didn't recognize. You are sitting at a turning point right now. You think you're exhausted because you've reached the end. But what if this exhaustion is the sign that something new is beginning? What if the weight you feel is the final heaviness before a door opens? What if this fire is not an ending, but a beginning? Because everything begins when the heart becomes still enough to listen again. And right now, in this moment, where your heart is listening, you may not realize it, but you are coming back to life. Slowly, quietly, gently. The way dawn rises after a long night. This fire is not just warmth. It is a reminder that Allah can rekindle what went dim. He can revive what felt dead. He can soothe what felt shattered. You are sitting in the presence of mercy, and mercy is patient. Mercy waits. Mercy opens its arms. Mercy calls you softly, with the kind of call that reaches the weary, the broken, the lost. Let tonight be the night your heart returns to Him, even if only a little, even if only enough to say, Allah, I'm tired. Please hold me. Because He will. He always does. Rest by the fire for as long as you need. Let the warmth touch places in your soul you haven't visited in years. Let the quiet comfort seep into the cracks you thought were permanent. Let the remembrance of Allah soften your breathing, slow your heartbeat, and bring you back to the truth. You are held. You are seen. You are safe. You are loved by a Lord who never leaves. Stay here, because this is where healing begins. This is where the journey softens. This is where the doors open. This is where your heart begins to understand the gentle nearness of the Most Merciful. And this is where we begin to understand the heart of the believer. You are tired. I know. And it's not the kind of tired sleep can fix. It's the tiredness that settles deep inside the chest. The kind that lingers even after 8 hours on the pillow. The kind that follows you from room to room, from task to task, from day to day. A tiredness woven into the heart, not the body. It's the tiredness of trying to stay patient, trying to stay hopeful, trying to hold everything together when you barely have the strength to hold yourself. It's the tiredness of pretending you're okay when you're not, of smiling when your heart feels tight, of being the one people lean on, even though you are breaking quietly inside. You've been running so long, running through emotions, running through expectations, running through storms, running through disappointments you never admitted out loud. And somewhere along the way, you forgot how heavy your own footsteps became. So let me say it clearly, gently, the way your soul has needed to hear it. You are tired, and it's okay to be tired. It's not a failure. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not proof that you've fallen behind. It is part of being human, part of being a believer, part of carrying a heart that feels deeply. Even the strongest hearts grow weary. Even the most faithful souls experience moments of heaviness. Even the prophets faced exhaustion, not because they lacked faith, but because they were human too. Allah said, Allah does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. You've heard this verse before, but tonight, hear it differently. If He placed this weight on you, if He allowed these trials to reach you, if He wrote this chapter of your life with all its fatigue and confusion, then He knows with absolute certainty that you can carry it, not because you are strong on your own, but because He strengthens you in ways you don't always see. Still, being capable does not mean you don't feel the strain. Being resilient does not mean the nights don't get overwhelming. Being patient does not mean you never break down in silence. So let your tiredness be real tonight. Let it be seen. Let it be acknowledged. You've been moving through your life as if you owe the world constant strength. But you don't. You never have. Allah did not ask you to be unbreakable. He did not ask you to be a machine. He did not ask you to suppress the tides of your own heart. He asked only for sincerity, for effort, for turning back to Him even if you're crawling. And sometimes, turning back begins with admitting, Allah, I am exhausted. You don't have to phrase it beautifully. You don't need poetic duas. A whisper is enough. A sigh is enough. A tear is enough. Even silence, if your heart is reaching for Him, is enough. Because your Lord understands fatigue in a way no one else can. He sees the weight behind your choices. He sees the intentions behind your struggle. He sees the sincerity behind your survival. When others see only your actions, Allah sees your wounds. When others see your mistakes, Allah sees your efforts. When others see your silence, Allah sees the storms inside you. And when others believe you are fine, Allah knows the truth. That is why you must stop apologizing for being tired. Stop shaming yourself for your heaviness. Stop believing you should be further along, stronger, more composed. You are exactly where you're meant to be. Not because your suffering is pleasant, but because your journey is purposeful. Look at your life for a moment. Think of the moments where you felt like you couldn't continue, but somehow you did. Think of the nights you thought you were alone, but you survived until dawn. Think of the situations that nearly broke you, but taught you strength you didn't know you had. You've been walking through storms with minimal shelter. You've been healing from wounds people don't even know you have. You've been carrying responsibilities without complaint. You've been enduring disappointments quietly. You've been giving love without receiving enough in return. So yes, your tiredness makes sense, and Allah knows it. There is a softness in the way He looks upon the tired believer, a tenderness in the way He listens to the one who whispers from a place of exhaustion, a mercy in the way He comforts the soul that comes to Him drained, empty, trembling. He knows you are not tired because you are weak. You are tired because you have been stronger than anyone realizes. Let that sink in. Every time you held back anger for His sake, every time you forgave when forgiveness felt impossible, every time you stayed patient when your heart was shaking, every time you did the right thing, even though it hurt, every time you got up for prayer when you felt numb, you built strength, the kind of strength that heaven sees. So tonight is not about criticizing yourself. It's not about regret. It's not about I should have done more. Tonight is about compassion for yourself, for your heart, for your journey. Tonight is about placing your hand on your chest and saying, you've done enough. You've tried enough. You've carried enough. And then letting the fire beside you, this warm, symbolic fire of remembrance, melt the hardness around your heart You don't need to fight anything in this moment. You don't need to push yourself. You don't need to be productive or perfect or composed. You need only to rest. Rest in knowing you are not invisible to your Lord. Rest in knowing He hears what no one else hears. Rest in knowing He understands, but no one else understands. Rest in knowing that your tears are recorded, your effort is acknowledged, your pain is counted. The prophet, peace be upon him, said that Allah is closer to you than you think, closer than your breath, closer than your heartbeat, closer than every fear and every hope. So when I say, you are tired and Allah knows, it is not a poetic phrase. It is a truth, a divine truth, a truth that should lighten your chest like a soft breeze after a heavy storm. And maybe this is the first time in a long time that someone said it in a way your heart believed. You're tired, and Allah knows. You're overwhelmed, and Allah knows. You're hurting, and Allah knows. You're trying, and Allah knows. You're carrying things in silence, and Allah knows. Nothing about you is hidden. Not your fear, not your loneliness, not your quiet wishes, not your longing for peace, not your hope that tomorrow will be gentler. You've walked through this world feeling misunderstood, but not by Him. He understands you at a depth no human can reach. So, if you're tired, let yourself be tired. If you're sad, let yourself feel it. If you feel lost, let yourself admit it. Not to the world, not to people, not even out loud. Just here, beside this fire, in the stillness of the night, between you and the one who never turns away. Because this is where healing begins, where the heart unclenches, where the soul learns to rest again, where the burden begins to lift, not all at once, but slowly, gently, the way dawn spreads across the sky. You don't need to pretend anymore. Not here. Not tonight. Not in the presence of the one who knows the truth of your heart better than you ever could. Let the fire warm you. Let the night soothe you. Let the remembrance remind you that weakness is not failure and tiredness is not abandonment. You are a believer, and believers are allowed to feel weary, because every moment of tiredness, every sigh, every tear, every step you force yourself to take is counted as worship when it leads you back to Allah. So rest. Rest beside this fire. Rest with honesty. Rest with tenderness for yourself. Rest with the knowledge that your fatigue is seen, understood, and honored by your Lord. And as you rest, you begin to understand that every tired soul is invited gently back to Allah. There is a heaviness you don't often speak about. It settles quietly on your shoulders. It lingers behind your eyes. It shows up in the way you exhale, slowly, as if releasing a burden too large to name. And tonight, as you sit near the imagined warmth of a fire meant for healing, not harm, that weight becomes clearer, not heavier, just clearer. You can finally see the shape of it, because exhaustion is not only physical, it is the weight of unanswered questions. It is the grief you thought you buried. It is the guilt that has followed you for months or years. It is the habit of being strong for too long. And Allah knows. He knows the tiredness you never admit. He knows the silent fears that visit you at night. He knows the prayers you meant to say but couldn't. He knows the faith you're trying to hold together with trembling hands. You are not unseen. You are not unheard. You are not forgotten. There is a verse that speaks gently to the one who is exhausted. It says that Allah does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. Not beyond, not ever. It means that the heaviness you feel right now is not a punishment. It is not a sign of weakness. It is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are still walking, still hoping, still trying. And Allah, in His mercy, has measured your burden with more precision than you measure your own breath. But you wonder, if the burden is measured, why does it still feel so heavy? Because hardship was never meant to be weightless. It was meant to be meaningful. It was meant to stretch you, soften you, strip you, reveal you. It was meant to pull you closer to the one who carries everything effortlessly. And sometimes, you can only meet Him fully when you are tired, when you are worn, when you are broken enough to whisper, "I cannot do this alone." Hardship is not meant to crush you, but to carry you to the point where you finally stop pretending that you can survive without Him. Tonight is not about solving your problems. Tonight is not about knowing what tomorrow will bring. Tonight is not about pretending that everything is fine. Tonight is simply about being honest with yourself. Let yourself admit it. You are tired, not because you are weak, but because life has been heavier than your voice could express. Because you cared more than anyone realized. Because you kept going, even when your heart was running on empty. Because you held yourself together in moments where falling apart would have made more sense. And Allah saw. Even the moments you think no one noticed were written, recorded, preserved in the sight of the Most Merciful. Your patience is known. Your effort is known. Your intentions are known. Your wounds are known. Nothing you carried was carried alone. Take a breath. Slowly. Let your chest rise with the reminder that Allah is near. Let your breath fall with the knowledge that you don't need to rush your healing. Healing does not happen in a moment. Healing is not an event. Healing is a journey, sometimes gentle, sometimes rough, always purposeful. Your heart has survived storms that felt like they would drown you, and yet, here you sit, by the fire of remembrance, still alive, still breathing, still reaching for the one who created you. Sometimes survival itself is worship. Sometimes holding on is a form of Dhikr. Sometimes simply waking up is an act of courage written in the heavens. You haven't failed. You've endured. The weight you carry comes from many places. From regrets, words you wish you never said, doors you wish you never opened, mistakes that still sting when you remember them. From heartbreak, people you lost, people who walked away, people who stayed but didn't know how to love you with softness. From fear, not knowing what's coming, not knowing how things will unfold. not knowing if you're strong enough to face what lies ahead. From faith itself, trying to obey even when it's hard, trying to keep hope even when your heart feels dim, trying to pray even when your limbs feel heavy. You carry so much, and yet you wonder why you're tired. Be gentle with yourself tonight. Even the strongest believer is still human. Even the most faithful heart gets worn. The prophet, peace be upon him, said that Allah is more gentle with his servants than a mother is with her child. Imagine that. Hold that. Let that truth soften the ache you've been hiding. The one who is that gentle, that loving, that merciful, does not abandon you during your hardest nights. Your burden has never been yours alone. Your tears have never fallen unnoticed. Your strength has never been from you alone. Look at the fire in front of you, even if it's just in your imagination. Feel the warmth. Feel the stillness. Feel the safety of a moment where nothing is demanded of you except honesty. You were not created to carry the world on your shoulders. You were not created to endure everything without His help. You were not created to pretend your heart is made of iron. You were created to need Him, to return to Him, to fall and rise again with Him. The weight you feel does not make you a failure. It makes you human, and it makes you capable of experiencing the sweetest form of worship, the worship that is born from brokenness, returning to its Creator. Do not hate your sadness. It may be the very thing leading you back to Him. Do not fear your exhaustion. It may be the doorway to a deeper kind of surrender. And do not rush your healing. Everything unfolds with divine timing. Allah knows how hard the journey has been for you. He knows the nights you struggled to sleep. He knows the days you forced yourself to stand when your spirit felt limp. He knows the moments you thought you wouldn't make it through. And He knows that you will rise again, not because life will suddenly become easier, but because Allah strengthens the hearts that turn to Him. And your heart is turning. It is returning. Even in exhaustion, it is seeking Him, and that seeking is beloved to Him. So tonight, acknowledge the weight, not to wallow in it, but to understand it, to see that it has shaped you, not destroyed you, to see that it has humbled you, not defeated you, to see that it has pushed you toward the only one who never hurts, never leaves, never forgets. Your burden is real, but so is your Lord, and He is closer than your breath. And this is where you begin to recognize the quiet, sacred truth. You were never meant to carry your weight alone. The fire crackles softly, not loud, not fierce, just enough to remind you that warmth still exists in a world that often feels cold. As you sit before it, something begins to shift inside you, not a sudden transformation, but a gentle stirring, a quiet reminder, a voice you haven't listened to in a while, and it says, come back. Come back to the one who knows you better than you know yourself. Come back to the Dhikr that once softened your heart. Come back to the peace you lost while you were trying to survive. Tonight is not a night for pressure, Not a night for forcing yourself into perfection. Not a night for guilt or shame. Tonight is simply a night to return. Dhikr is not only for the strong. It is for the tired. It is for the overwhelmed. It is for the hearts that feel empty. Because Dhikr is not a performance. It is not a test. It is not about how loudly you say it or how perfectly you recite it. Dhikr is a lifeline, a rope thrown from the heavens to the one who feels like they're sinking. When Allah says that hearts find rest in His remembrance, it is not poetry. It is reality. It is His promise. A promise that your heart was crafted to respond to His name. And tonight, as the warmth of the fire wraps around you, you begin to feel the truth of that promise. Not all at once, not suddenly, but slowly, like light creeping over the horizon before sunrise. You may not realize it, but the moments when your heart whispers the name of Allah, even silently, are moments of healing. The moment you sigh and say, "My Lord knows," that is Dhikr. The moment you look at your burdens and say, "He will make a way," that is Dhikr. The moment you cry and let your tears fall in His direction, not away from Him, that is Dhikr. Dhikr is not only in the tongue. Dhikr lives in the heart that remembers its master, even when it trembles. And your heart remembers, even now, even through the exhaustion, even through the heaviness, even when you feel far, your heart is still reaching, because deep down, you want Him. Tonight, imagine the fire as a companion, not a literal one, but a symbol of warmth, a symbol of life, a symbol of the light Allah places in the hearts of those He loves. When the fire speaks, it speaks through the language of stillness. It tells you, slow down, breathe, let go. Remember the one who made this heart beat, and slowly, gently, you begin to breathe differently. Your chest loosens, your shoulders drop, your pulse steadies, your soul begins to lean into the comfort it has been longing for. There is a verse that says, "Remember me, and I will remember you." Think about that. The Lord of the worlds, the one who commands the skies and the seas, the one who knows the secrets of galaxies and the thoughts you never voice, remembers you, not in a distant or abstract way, but intimately, personally, in a way that wraps around your life like protection you cannot see. When you whisper His name tonight, He remembers you. When your heart aches and you turn toward Him, He remembers you. When you sit quietly, not knowing what to say, but simply wanting to be close, He remembers you. You are never the one doing all the reaching. Allah reaches for you too. Always. The fire glows. It dances. Its light flickers across your tired face like a gentle embrace. And you realize something profound. You don't have to be fully healed to remember Allah. You don't have to be perfectly strong. You don't have to be free of sadness. You don't have to be anything other than what you are right now. Dhikr is for the weary. Dhikr is for the imperfect. Dhikr is for the soul that is trying, even clumsily, to return. Allah loves the returning heart, no matter how slow its steps are. Tonight, you may not speak the words aloud. You may just feel them, and that is enough. Let your heart say, "My Lord is with me. My Lord will guide me. My Lord understands me. My Lord is gentle with me. My Lord is near." Let these phrases rise and fall with your breath, softly, slowly, sincerely. This is Dhikr. This is remembrance. This is worship born from exhaustion, a worship the angels record with tenderness. Think back to the moments when you felt most alone, the nights your pillow was soaked with tears, the days you walked through your life feeling invisible, the seasons where hope felt like a distant memory. You survived those moments, not because you were strong, but because Allah never let go of you. He carried you when you didn't realize you were being carried. He protected you from things you never knew were coming. He lifted you in ways you didn't recognize at the time. And tonight the fire reminds you, He is still carrying you now. You are tired, yes, but you are not abandoned. You are not deserted by your Lord. You are not walking through your days unseen. The Most Merciful is with you closer than your despair, closer than your exhaustion, closer than your breath. As the fire burns steadily, you begin to feel something you almost forgot. Calm. Not the loud, explosive calm that comes after a breakthrough. Not the dramatic calm that comes after a crisis, but the quiet, steady calm. The kind that spreads through you like warmth after a long winter. The kind that comes from knowing you are safe in His remembrance. The kind that whispers, "You don't have to fight everything alone. You don't have to pretend you are okay. You don't have to hide your pain from the one who created your heart." Tonight, Dhikr is not a ritual. It is a refuge, a shelter, a home. When you sit by this imagined fire, letting its light touch your wounds, you realize something. Your tiredness is not a barrier between you and Allah. It is a bridge. Your sadness is not a punishment. It is an invitation. Your overwhelmed heart is not a failure. It is a heart in need, and that need is honored by Allah, the one who loves to be called upon, the one who responds, the one who forgives, the one who comforts. Dhikr is the language of those who long for Him, and longing itself is a mercy. Tonight, let the fire teach you how to breathe again. Let Dhikr guide you back to yourself. Let the remembrance of Allah wrap you in a peace the world cannot give. And when you whisper your Lord's name, even silently, even shakily, know that He hears. He responds. He remembers. Your soul is not alone in the dark. You are walking with the one who said He is near. And this is where you begin to feel the first gentle spark of renewal glowing within you. The first sign that your heart is waking again. There is a moment subtle, almost imperceptible, when a tired heart begins to let go. It does not happen with force. It does not happen because of willpower. It happens quietly, gently, like the first light of dawn spilling across a darkened sky. You realize you do not have to carry everything anymore. Not tonight. not in this moment, not in this space where you have chosen to return to your Lord. The burdens on your chest, the anxiety in your mind, the fatigue that runs through your bones, they begin to loosen. Not completely, not instantly, but just enough that you can breathe, just enough that you can feel the edges of peace creeping in. And this is what Allah promises. He does not abandon the weary soul. He does not forsake the broken heart. He does not reject the one who turns to Him, even through exhaustion. You have been tired for so long. You have been stretching yourself thin, giving and giving, carrying and carrying, praying and striving, but feeling empty all the while. But tonight, the fire you imagined, the quiet of the night, and the remembrance of Allah begin to offer a simple, profound truth. You are allowed to rest. Rest is not weakness. Rest is not surrender in the wrong way. Rest is an acknowledgement of the soul's needs. Rest is recognition that even the strongest hearts require pause. And when you allow yourself this pause, you open a space for Allah's peace to enter. It flows like gentle water, filling the cracks that fatigue and sorrow have created. Think back to the moments you felt the most alone, the nights you cried in silence, believing no one was watching, the days you felt invisible, believing no one cared, the hours you spent pretending, believing you had to appear strong. He saw you then. He sees you now. Nothing about your heart is hidden from Him. Not the sorrow, not the doubt, not the exhaustion, not the longing. Everything is visible. Everything is known. And in that knowledge, there is rest. Because the one who knows everything also loves everything, even your weakness, even your fear, even your fatigue. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your chest rising and falling with slow, deep breaths. With every breath, imagine a gentle light spreading through your body. A light that melts the tension in your shoulders. A light that softens the ache in your heart. A light that washes over your soul like a warm, calming wave. This light is the mercy of Allah reaching you. This light is the recognition that you have tried. This light is a reminder that you are not alone. And in this light, the heart begins to unclench. Rest does not mean everything is fixed. It does not mean your struggles are over. It does not mean tomorrow will be effortless. Rest simply means you are pausing. You are acknowledging that your soul has worked hard. You are allowing yourself to be replenished. You are creating space for hope to grow again. There's a verse that says, "Indeed, in the remembrance of Allah, hearts find rest." Tonight, let that truth seep in. Let it penetrate the tired layers of your heart. Let it remind you that rest is not only physical, it is spiritual, it is emotional, it is a sanctuary for the weary believer. Sometimes, rest comes in silence. Sometimes, it comes in gentle prayer. Sometimes, it comes in tears that cleanse the soul. Sometimes, it comes in remembering Allah softly, without expectation, without formality, without judgment. And that is enough. Sitting here by the fire of reflection, your heart begins to feel lighter. You do not need to understand everything. You do not need to solve everything. You do not need to be fixed tonight. You only need to be present. You only need to be willing. You only need to let the heart rest in His presence. Imagine the weariness leaving you slowly, the weight on your chest easing, the racing thoughts quieting, the sense of being overwhelmed softening. And as this happens, a gentle peace settles in. It is not loud or dramatic. It is not a fireworks display or a sudden epiphany. It is a whisper. You are seen. You are loved. You are enough. This peace begins to wrap around you like a soft blanket. It does not demand anything of you. It does not judge your past or your struggles. It simply allows you to exist, to breathe, to feel, to rest. Your heart may still ache. Your mind may still race. Your body may still be weary. But there is a difference now. The ache is acknowledged, not feared. The racing thoughts are softened, not overwhelming. The weariness is honored, not ignored. And that is the beginning of true rest. Rest is also trust. It is surrender, not to despair, but to the one who knows best. It is saying, even silently, My Lord, I am tired, but I trust you. My Lord, I am overwhelmed, but I know you are near. My Lord, I am weak, but you are sufficient. These words, even unspoken, carry immense weight. They are like water on dry soil, reviving the heart, nourishing the spirit. Tonight, let your rest be intentional. Let it be spiritual. Let it be emotional. Let it be physical. Breathe, feel, allow, and let your soul remember Allah's mercy is wider than your fatigue. His compassion is deeper than your sorrow. His presence is closer than your breath. You are tired, yes, but you are not abandoned. You are weary, yes, but you are not alone. You are heavy, yes, but Allah is the one who carries everything, and He carries you too. So rest, dear heart. Rest without guilt. Rest without shame. Rest with the knowledge that your soul is cradled in divine mercy. Let the fire flicker beside you. Let the night breathe around you. Let your heart feel the gentle, quiet reassurance of Allah's love. And as your eyelids grow heavy and your body softens, let the final thought of this night be, you are tired, I know, but your heart can rest. Allah is keeping watch. And in that truth, the soul finds its first true peace. There is a moment when the heart begins to feel the touch of mercy, not in a thunderous or dramatic way, but quietly, softly, as if the world itself has paused to let it breathe. Your soul has been wandering, carrying burdens too heavy for its own strength. You have been running from worries, from regrets, from fears that shadow every step. You have been striving to hold together pieces of yourself while the weight of life pressed down. And tonight, in this sacred space of quiet reflection, something shifts. Mercy enters, not because you have earned it perfectly, not because you have been flawless, not because you have done everything right. It enters because that is who Allah is. He is merciful beyond measure. infinitely compassionate and tender to hearts that are fragile. The fire beside you flickers, casting gentle shadows that dance along the edges of the night. Let it remind you that even in darkness, there is light. Even in struggle, there is mercy. Even in your exhaustion, there is hope. Mercy is not only forgiveness. It is not only absolution of mistakes. It is the softening of the heart. It is the lifting of burdens that no one else sees. It is the quiet reassurance that you are not alone. The heart that feels mercy begins to breathe differently. It moves with less tension. It rests without fear. It allows the soul to whisper softly, I am seen. I am loved. I am held. Think of all the moments you doubted yourself, the nights when you felt hopeless, the times you believed your heart was too broken, your faith too small, your efforts too insignificant. Allah knows those moments. He does not overlook them. He does not judge you harshly for feeling human. He knows that your struggles are part of your journey, not a punishment, but a shaping of your soul. And mercy is His gentle hand on your shoulder saying, you are not lost. You are not abandoned. I am with you. Sometimes, the mercy of Allah is experienced in silence, not through grand signs or dramatic events, but in small, quiet ways. A sigh that eases the tension in your chest, a soft breeze that cools your mind, a memory that reminds you of hope, a tear that cleanses what words cannot. These moments are not coincidences. They are the touch of divine compassion, reaching into the heart that is open, even just a little, to receive it. Mercy is also in the acceptance of your limits. You have been striving tirelessly. You have been carrying responsibilities you never asked for. You have been giving your love, your patience, your effort, and sometimes receiving nothing in return. Tonight, let yourself acknowledge. It is okay to be tired. It is okay to rest. It is okay to be human. Even the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, Allah is gentle with His servants and loves gentleness in all things. Mercy is gentleness. And tonight, it is here for you. Your heart may still feel heavy. Your mind may still spin with worries. Your body may still ache from all you have carried. But there is a difference now. You are not fighting alone. You are not abandoned. You are not unseen. The one who created you, who knows your struggles and your dreams, who holds the universe in His hand, is also holding you. And that holding is mercy. Soft, constant, unwavering. Imagine a river flowing quietly through your chest. This river is mercy. It moves through the tired spaces of your heart. It soothes the pain, the fear, the doubt. It carries away the heaviness that has weighed you down. And with each passing moment, it leaves a trace of peace. You are not expected to carry your burdens indefinitely. You are not expected to carry them perfectly. You are only expected to turn toward Him, to allow His mercy to reach you, and to trust that He is enough. Resting in mercy does not mean giving up on effort. It means recognizing that your effort is enough. It means understanding that your sincerity, even if small, is precious in His sight. It means embracing the truth that Allah rewards hearts, intentions, and struggles that humans cannot always see. And tonight, your heart, weary and heavy, is being rewarded simply for being sincere. The fire beside you flickers again. Let it remind you that warmth can exist even in darkness. Let it remind you that light can shine even through the heaviest clouds. Let it remind you that mercy can touch your soul even when you feel undeserving. Your tiredness is not a barrier. Your sorrow is not a punishment. Your fears are not a rejection. They are invitations. Invitations to return. Invitations to rest. Invitations to feel the mercy that has been waiting patiently for you all along. Tonight, let your heart feel the embrace of mercy. Let it soothe the trembling within. Let it calm the racing thoughts. Let it remind you that your soul is precious. Let it reassure you that your journey, with all its struggles, is meaningful. And as you sit quietly, let yourself hear this. You are tired. You are weary. You are human. And I am with you, always. This is the quiet power of mercy. It does not overwhelm. It does not demand. It simply holds. It simply heals. It simply rests with you. Tonight, let this be enough. The heart finds rest, not in the absence of struggle, but in the presence of the One who never leaves. And in that rest, your soul begins to awaken to hope, to love, to light, and to the gentle reminder that every weary heart is always seen, always heard, and always held. And this is where the soul begins to trust again, and the believer learns the beauty of being carried by mercy. There comes a moment on every believer's path when the heart begins to ask the question it has been too afraid to voice. Can I trust again? Can I trust life after disappointment? Can I trust myself after mistakes? Can I trust the future after so much uncertainty? Can I trust that Allah is truly guiding me, even when everything feels dark? These questions do not appear in times of comfort. They arise in the quiet, vulnerable hours. They come when the fire grows low, when the world feels still, and the soul finally faces what it has been carrying. Tonight, as you sit by this quiet fire, with the hush of the night wrapping around you like a warm cloak, your soul begins to whisper something deeper, a desire to trust again, a longing to return to that soft, peaceful state where your heart could breathe freely, where you felt held, guided, and safe in the care of the One who never abandons. This part of your journey is not about gaining strength. It is about reclaiming the strength that was always yours. It is about remembering what your heart knew before it became tired. It is about hearing, once again, the soft truth that has been calling you home. You were never alone. The fragility of a wounded heart. The heart becomes fragile when life wounds it. Sometimes it's the weight of loss. Sometimes it's betrayal. Sometimes it's fear, disappointment, failure, or a grief that refuses to fade. You may have felt abandoned by people you trusted. You may have watched dreams crumble in your hands. You may have faced trials that stretched you beyond what you believed you could survive. And in that vulnerability, trust began to fade. Not only trust in others, sometimes even trust in yourself. And quietly, without noticing, trust in Allah became clouded by the pain you carried. Not because you doubted His power, not because you doubted His mercy, but because you were too hurt to see clearly. It happens to the most sincere believers. The heart becomes so heavy that even hope feels like effort. Even dua feels like lifting a mountain. Even saying, "I trust that Allah will make a way," feels shaky, unsure, fragile. Do not shame yourself for this. Do not think you are weak. Do not think your faith has disappeared. A wounded heart does not lose faith. It only struggles to feel the light through the cracks. And light enters through cracks more beautifully than it enters a solid wall. The quiet return to trust. Trust does not return with sudden certainty. It does not return with loud conviction. It returns the way dawn appears slowly, softly, almost unnoticed at first. A small ease in your chest, a moment where your breath becomes deeper, a passing thought that maybe, just maybe, things will be okay. This is where trust begins, not with grand declarations, but with gentle openings of the heart. And Allah accepts the smallest opening. He honors the slightest movement toward Him. He welcomes the most fragile attempt to trust again. You do not need to be strong. You do not need to be confident. You do not need to feel ready. You only need to turn. Because Allah says that when the believer walks toward Him, He comes running toward them, and the one who crawls, exhausted, is carried, letting go of what you cannot control. Much of what steals your trust is the belief that you must control everything, every outcome, every possibility, every fear, every unknown, every wound that life may bring. You have been holding your world together with trembling hands. You have been trying to protect yourself from every angle. You have been bracing for pain before it even comes. But trust is not built on control. Trust is built on surrender. Not the surrender of effort, but the surrender of fear. Your job is not to protect yourself from everything. Your job is to walk with Allah and trust that what reaches you is written with wisdom, and what misses you was never meant to stay. You do not have to see the entire path. You do not have to understand every twist and turn. You do not have to anticipate every hardship. You only have to trust the one who walks with you, learning that Allah never leaves. Imagine for a moment a shepherd in a silent valley. His flock moves around him, each one different, some confident, some anxious, some limping, some strong. But his eye watches everyone. His hand reaches for the weak first. His heart softens most for the one that struggles. Allah is far more merciful than the most loving shepherd, far more gentle, far more attentive, far more protective. You may feel lost, but you are never unseen. You may feel forgotten, but you are never abandoned. You may feel unworthy, but you are always cared for. Trust begins to grow when your heart remembers this. Allah is not distant. Allah is not ignoring you. Allah is not withholding goodness from you. Your story is unfolding in ways you cannot yet understand. Your path is being shaped with wisdom you cannot yet see. Your future is being prepared with mercy you cannot yet feel. You have not been left to navigate life on your own. Every breath is supervised. Every heartache is counted. Every tear is witnessed. Every prayer is heard. Every moment is guided. When you remember this, trust returns like warmth returning to cold hands. Why trust feels hard after hardship? Sometimes the hardest part of trusting Allah is not about Him. It's about you. You fear trusting again because you fear being hurt again. You fear opening your heart because you fear losing again. You fear hoping because hope once brought disappointment. But trusting Allah is different. Trusting Allah is not the same as trusting people. Trusting Allah is not the same as trusting circumstances. Trusting Allah is not about expecting life to be painless. It is about knowing that even when pain comes, it will come with meaning. Even when hardship arrives, it will arrive with purpose. Even when difficulty descends, it will descend with mercy woven into its core. Trust is not life will go my way. Trust is whatever way life goes, Allah will carry me through. Surrendering the weight you can no longer hold. Tonight, your heart is tired, deeply tired, soul level tired, and tired hearts cannot carry everything alone. So let go, not of effort, not of hope, not of faith, but of the belief that you must be your own protector. Say quietly within yourself, I am trying. I am human. I cannot carry this alone. This is not weakness. It is wisdom, and it is trust. Because trust is not only believing that Allah can do anything, it is believing that you do not have to do everything. The heart that trusts feels lighter. A heart that trusts feels different. It moves through life with softness. It breathes with ease. It faces hardship without collapse. It walks into the unknown without drowning in fear. Not because the believer becomes stronger than trials, but because the believer walks with the one who controls all trials. Trust transforms life, not by changing the world around you, but by changing the world within you. Your heart becomes a calmer home. Your mind becomes a softer space. Your soul becomes less afraid. You begin to experience something rare, something beautiful, something deeply spiritual. A quiet certainty that you are held, a gentle conviction that you are guided, a peaceful knowing that you are loved. This is what trusting Allah feels like. It is the soul's sigh of relief after carrying weight for far too long. The moment you begin to trust again, trust does not return when life becomes perfect. It returns when the heart realizes it was never meant to walk alone. Tonight is that moment. You may not feel it fully. You may not be ready to say it out loud. You may not understand how trust will grow again. But your heart is opening. The cracks are letting in light. The heaviness is loosening. The fear is softening. You are beginning to trust again, not because the world is safe, but because Allah is with you. And this is where the believer's heart begins to heal. This is where the soul begins to rise. This is where the journey enters its most beautiful stage. The stage where faith is not just believed, but felt. This is the beginning of the heart's return. This is where trust grows roots. This is where the soul learns to breathe again. This is where the journey transforms from survival to surrender. And this is where you discover you were never abandoned. You were only being guided back to Him. The night is deep, quiet, and still. The fire near you glows with a warm, steady heartbeat, its soft light flickering against the darkness. You sit close, watching the embers breathe, and for a moment, you feel the stillness inside you, reflecting the stillness around you. The world is silent, but your heart is not. It carries memories, doubts, fears, and unspoken hopes. It carries the weight of days that were heavy and nights that were even heavier. And beneath all of that, beneath the weariness and the longing, there's a question that has been waiting, quiet but persistent. Can I trust again? These 6 words hold more truth than you've allowed yourself to admit. They hold the story of your heart. They hold your bruises, your disappointments, your tears. They hold every moment when you gave something your best, only to watch it fall apart. They hold every promise that was broken, every dream that slipped through your fingers, every prayer whose answer seemed distant. But they also hold something gentle, a longing to return to Allah in a deeper way, a longing to rest in His care the way you once did, a longing to feel safe again. This is not a lack of faith. This is a heart seeking its home. You are not alone in this longing. Every soul that has walked through hardship goes through this quiet search, the search to trust again. The weight that made trust hard. Trust doesn't fade suddenly. It dissolves slowly, like ink spreading through water, clouding what once was clear. Some days, you don't even notice it slipping. Other days, it feels as though your heart is clenched in a fist. Maybe you trusted someone who hurt you. Maybe you trusted a future that collapsed. Maybe you trusted your strength until it failed. Maybe you trusted that life would be kinder than it was. Or maybe, quietly, unknowingly, you began expecting disappointment before it even arrived. The human heart protects itself. When it has been wounded, it builds walls. When it has been broken, it becomes cautious. When it has been overwhelmed, it becomes guarded. You didn't lose trust because you were weak. You lost trust because you were hurt. And Allah knows that. He sees the pain beneath the surface. He sees the moments you hide even from yourself. He understands the layers of fear that have formed around your heart. This is why rebuilding trust with Allah is not about forcing certainty. It's about healing. It's about remembering. It's about letting the soul breathe again. The heart that forgets and the heart that is reminded. One of the most beautiful truths of the human soul is this: even when your mind doubts, even when your emotions feel shaken, Your fitra, your sacred inner nature, never stops believing in Allah. There is a core inside you that always knows. He is your protector. He is your guardian. He is your witness. He is your healer. He is your loving Lord who never leaves. But hardship can place dust over that inner knowing. Pain can blur your vision. Fear can cloud your heart. That is why reminders exist, not because you don't know the truth, but because the truth becomes buried beneath the weight of life. And tonight is one of those reminders. A reminder that Allah has never let you go. A reminder that trust can return. A reminder that the soul can heal. A reminder that the door between you and your Lord has always been open. Learning to let go of control. So much of your pain came from trying to carry the whole world in your hands. You tried to predict the future. You tried to prevent heartbreak. You tried to avoid mistakes. You tried to protect yourself from every possible wound. You tried to control outcomes that were never yours to control. And that exhaustion, the tiredness you feel deep in your bones, is the exhaustion of a heart trying to do a job that only Allah can do. You are not meant to hold the universe together. You are meant to trust the one who does. Trust is not built on controlling life. Trust is built on surrender. Not the surrender of effort. Not the surrender of hope. Not the surrender of responsibility. But the surrender of fear. The surrender of the belief that everything depends on you alone. The surrender of the belief that you must protect yourself from what Allah has already shielded you from. The surrender of the belief that hardship is proof of abandonment rather than proof of purpose. Trust returns when you allow yourself to lean, really lean, on the one who never wavers. The unseen protection that followed you all along. You think you have been walking through life alone, but if you look closely, if you look not with your eyes, but with your heart, you will see signs of Allah's care woven through every chapter of your story. There were moments you should have broken, yet you survived. Moments you should have fallen apart, yet you held on. Moments you felt lost, yet somehow found your way back. Moments you felt empty, yet a small spark of faith remained. These were not accidents. These were not coincidences. These were not moments of your own power. These were moments of divine protection. You did not survive because you were strong. You survived because Allah carried you. He strengthened you. He shielded you. He sent comfort when you needed it. Most a person, a verse, a sunrise, a quiet moment, a tear that softened your heart. You were never alone. You only forgot to see the hand guiding you. Tonight, you are remembering the gentle rebuilding of trust. Trust does not return all at once. It returns like dawn, softly, gradually, one shade of light at a time. It begins with the smallest sigh of relief. It begins with the loosening of something tight in your chest. It begins with the fading of a fear that was once overwhelming. It begins with a soft whisper. Maybe Allah is guiding me. Maybe He always was. One spark of trust is enough to change everything. Because when you give Allah one small opening, He fills your heart with more light than you could ever imagine. The truth is this: you don't need a perfect heart to trust Allah. You only need an honest one. You don't need unshakable certainty. You only need sincerity. You don't need to feel strong. You only need to turn. And Allah takes care of the rest. When the soul finally breathes Doin, there is a deep, indescribable peace that comes when trust returns. Not because problems disappear, not because life becomes easy, not because wounds instantly heal, but because the heart remembers who is in control. Suddenly, the unknown becomes less frightening. The future becomes less heavy. The past becomes less defining. The present becomes more bearable. You move through life with a quieter soul, not rushing, not fearing, not clinging, not panicking, but breathing. Because the one guiding your path is not blind. The one holding your heart is not careless. The one watching over you is not distant. You trust not because you know the plan, but because you know the planner. Why trusting Allah is different from trusting people. Humans break promises. Humans change. Humans fail each other. Humans forget. But Allah does not. He does not break His promise. He does not tire of you. He does not forget you. He does not abandon you. He does not turn away when you turn toward Him. People may let you fall. Allah never will. People may hurt you even when they love you. Allah will never harm you, even when He tests you. People may misunderstand your intentions. Allah knows the truth hidden behind every struggle. Trusting Allah is not risky. It is not fragile. It is not dangerous. It is the safest place your heart will ever rest. The moment trust awakens fully. And then, after nights like this, after sitting quietly with your soul after, letting your heart speak honestly, after remembering who your Lord is, after allowing the fire beside you to mirror the warmth returning, within there is a moment when trust awakens. Slowly at first, then fully. It is the moment you finally exhale. The moment you stop bracing for disaster. The moment you stop expecting disappointment. The moment you stop carrying everything alone. The moment you realize, I was never abandoned. I was being guided. I was being shaped. I was being protected. I was being loved. Trust is not merely believing in Allah. It is feeling safe with Him. And tonight, your soul is moving closer to that safety, closer to that surrender, closer to Him. The heart that trusts walks differently. A heart rebuilt with trust is not the same heart it once was. It is softer, but stronger. It is humble, but resilient. It is cautious with people, but courageous with Allah. It moves through life with grace. It meets hardship with patience. It meets blessings with gratitude. It meets the unknown with calmness, because it knows that every chapter, even the painful ones, are written with wisdom. You begin to walk differently. You begin to breathe differently. You begin to hope differently. You begin to pray differently. The soul that trusts is the soul that is finally free. And so tonight is not just another night. It is a turning point in your journey. A quiet but powerful shift. a moment your heart has needed for a long time. Tonight, you begin to trust again. Not blindly, not perfectly, not instantly, but sincerely. And sincerity is enough, more than enough. You are walking toward Allah, and He is coming toward you faster than you can imagine. This is the beginning of healing. This is the beginning of clarity. This is the beginning of peace. This is the beginning of renewed faith. This is the moment the soul learns, truly learns, to trust again. And when the soul trusts Allah, everything changes. Everything becomes lighter. Everything becomes softer. Everything becomes possible. This is where your next chapter begins. This is where your heart begins to return home. This is where the believer's journey deepens and blossoms, with trust as its foundation, and Allah as its constant companion. The fire has burned low now, its warmth softer, its light slower and gentler than before. The night around you seems to breathe in long, quiet waves, as if the world itself is resting after a long day. You sit a little closer to the flame, feeling its glow sink into your tired bones. It has been a long journey already, through sorrow, through trust, through silent prayers, through returning to yourself. But there is another part of your soul that has been waiting for its moment to awaken, a part that has been hiding beneath the rubble of everything you've endured. Hope. Hope is a fragile thing, but also an astonishingly powerful thing. It can be crushed by a single moment of heartbreak, yet resurrected by a single whisper from the Lord of the worlds. It can hide for months, even years, yet return in a single breath. Tonight, in the silence, in the dim light of a dying fire, something inside you begins to shift. Not dramatically, not suddenly, but softly, gently, like the faintest glow at the edge of the horizon just before dawn. This part of the journey is about hope returning, light returning, life returning. This part is about rising, not quickly, not forcefully, but steadily, like the dawn that cannot be rushed, but always, always comes. Hope is born from darkness, not from ease. It may feel strange, almost oddly timed, that hope begins to grow now in your exhaustion, in your uncertainty, in your wounds that are still healing. You might think hope comes when life becomes easy, when everything is clear, when problems vanish, when pain ends. But hope rarely grows in comfort. Hope grows in darkness. Hope grows when you need it most. Hope grows when your soul has tasted despair and still whispers, "I believe there is goodness ahead." The deepest hope is born from the deepest struggle, because hardship carves space inside you. Space for light, space for strength, space for God's gifts to take root. Nothing grows in a heart that has never been broken. A cracked heart is a heart with space for light to enter. Tonight, the cracks in your heart become pathways of dawn. The weight of carrying too many endings. Sometimes what kills hope is not one event, but the combination of many small sorrows, the accumulation of disappointments, the quiet griefs you never talked about, the dreams that slowly dissolved without closure, the versions of yourself you had to let go of. You have lived through endings you never prepared for, endings that felt unfair, endings that arrived before you were ready, endings that left you holding invisible pieces of a life you thought would be yours. And in those endings, hope slipped away. How do you hope for new beginnings when you are still grieving old ones? How do you hope for light when the darkness felt more familiar? How do you hope for joy when you are still learning to breathe again? The truth is this: hope does not demand that you are healed. Hope only asks that you do not shut your heart completely. It asks for one opening, even a small one, where the light of Allah's mercy can enter. And that is enough, more than enough, for a new beginning. The nature of hope: soft but unbreakable. Hope is often misunderstood. People think hope is loud, confident, energetic, bursting with optimism. But the purest hope is quiet, gentle, subtle, like a hand resting softly on your shoulder, like the warmth of a blanket on a cold night, like the flame of this fire, small but steady. Hope doesn't shout. It whispers. It hums. It lingers. It grows between your heartbeats. It does not force you to smile. It does not erase your grief. It does not insist that everything is fine. Hope simply says there is more. There is purpose. There is mercy. There is healing on the way. Hold on. This is why hope is unbreakable. Because it does not depend on circumstances. It depends on belief. The quiet, tender belief that Allah will not leave you where you are. You do not need a loud, blazing hope. You only need a small, living one. A hope that flickers like this fire, sometimes dim, sometimes bright, but always present. Hope begins with remembering who holds your story. Life has taken you through many twists, some that strengthened you, and some that shook you deeply. But every moment of your life, every detour, every heartbreak, every unanswered prayer, every success, every failure has been written by a hand that never makes mistakes. Hope is born when the heart remembers this truth. Your story is not random. Your struggle is not pointless. Your future is not unprotected. Your prayers are not unanswered. Your heartbreak is not unnoticed. Every difficulty comes with purpose. Every test comes with wisdom. Every delay comes with timing. Every disappointment comes with redirection. And every wound comes with healing. When the author of your story is the most merciful, how can you not hope that the next chapter holds goodness? Hope rises when you remember who is writing your life, the pain that prepared you for what's next. There are things you prayed for that would have destroyed you. There are people you wanted who would have harmed you. There are paths you chased that would have led you into darkness. There are dreams you begged for that would have broken you in ways you could not repair. You don't see these things clearly in the moment. In the moment, you only see the loss, the unanswered prayer, the closed door, the disappointment, the ache. But in hindsight, sometimes years later, you realize the protection woven into your pain. Hope grows from understanding this, and that not everything you wanted was good for you. Not everything you lost was a loss. Not everything that ended was a mistake. Some heartbreaks were actually rescues. Some delays were actually preparations. Some failures were actually blessings. Some tears were actually cleansing. Hope grows when the heart whispers, "If Allah kept it from me, He has something better." And that is not naive optimism. That is trust. That is clarity. That is matured faith. Tonight, your hope is no longer the hope of your younger self, who expected life to go smoothly, who expected everything to be easy. Tonight, your hope is wiser, deeper, more patient, more real. The art of hoping while still healing. You do not need to be healed to hope. You do not need to be whole. You do not need to be unbroken. You do not need to have your life figured out. Hope is not something you pick up after you finish healing. Hope is part of the healing. You can be hurting and hopeful at the same time. You can be grieving and still believe in what's coming. You can be lost and still trust the path you're on. You can be unsure and still believe in Allah's plan. The world teaches you that you must choose. Either be broken or be hopeful. But the truth is, some of the most hopeful hearts belong to people who have been broken deeply, because they have seen with their own eyes how Allah rebuilds. You are allowed to hope, even with shaking hands, even with a trembling voice, even with tears still drying on your cheeks, even with a heart still learning to trust again. Hope doesn't demand perfection from you. It only asks that you lift your eyes just a little bit toward tomorrow. Hope in Allah is never wasted. You may have placed hope in people who let you down. You may have placed hope in plans that failed. You may have placed hope in outcomes that never came. But hope placed in Allah is never wasted. Never. You may not get what you asked for, but you will get something better. You may not see the answer now, but you will see it when the time is right. You may not understand the wisdom, but you will understand it when your heart is ready. Hope in Allah is not a gamble. It is a guarantee that you will never be abandoned, never be forgotten, never be overlooked, never be left empty-handed. Allah never takes without giving. He never delays without purpose. He never tests without preparing. He never withholds without protecting. He never breaks without rebuilding stronger. Hope becomes easier when you trust these truths. The dawn always comes. The night may feel endless. Your struggles may feel overwhelming. Your heart may feel tired, but no night lasts forever. No winter lasts without spring. No storm rages without eventually fading. No soul remains in darkness without the promise of dawn. Just as dawn arrives every single morning, whether you witness it or not, whether clouds cover it or not, whether you are awake or asleep, the dawn of your life will arrive. Hope is the certainty that light is coming, even when you can't see it yet. And right now, in this quiet moment, You are standing at the edge of your dawn. The darkness behind you is fading. The quiet around you is shifting. The fire before you is glowing anew. The winds are whispering, "Hold on, something beautiful is coming." Not because life is easy, but because Allah is generous. Not because you earned it, but because He is merciful. Not because you see the path, but because He knows the way. The rebirth of your heart. As hope grows, something remarkable happens inside you. Your heart begins to soften. Your breath becomes deeper. Your shoulders lower. Your mind becomes clearer. Your fear becomes quieter. Your faith becomes stronger. Hope doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how you live. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, pray differently, dream differently. Not because life has changed yet, but because you have. Hope is the moment the heart comes back to life. And tonight, your heart is awakening, like a field touched by the first light of morning, like a flower opening after a long winter, like a soul that remembers what it means to trust again. This is the beginning of rebirth, the rebirth of trust, the rebirth of peace, the rebirth of meaning, the rebirth of you. You are rising slowly, quietly, beautifully. Hope is not a leap. It is a rise, a slow rise, a quiet rise, a rise that comes from within. You are rising. Maybe you cannot see it yet, but your heart feels it. Your soul feels it. Allah sees it. You are rising from your old wounds, from your past pain, from your buried fears, from your tiredness, from your grief. With every moment you sit here, with every breath, with every turning of your heart toward Allah, you rise. This rise does not need applause. It does not need to be seen. It does not need to be understood by anyone but you and your Lord. It is enough that He sees the spark returning to your soul. It is enough that He knows every struggle behind your smile. It is enough that He counts every tear that led to this moment. You are rising because He is lifting you. And what Allah lifts cannot be held down. Your hope is the beginning of your future. A hopeful heart is a powerful heart. It begins to imagine again. It begins to believe again. It begins to trust again. It begins to dream again. Not childish dreams, not shallow dreams, not fragile dreams, but dreams rooted in faith, anchored in trust, guided by the light of Allah. Hope is not just a feeling. It is the foundation of the future Allah is preparing for you. The moment your hope returns, your story changes. Not because circumstances shift immediately, but because you shift. Your heart shifts. Your soul shifts. Your relationship with Allah shifts. Everything begins with hope. And tonight, you have taken that step. Quietly, sincerely, beautifully. You have allowed hope to live again inside you. And so, tonight, your journey transforms. Tonight, the darkness begins to thin. Tonight, the fire within you grows steady. Tonight, the weight on your chest begins to lift. Hope, Real hope has returned to you. Not the kind others can see. Not the kind that demands smiles. Not the kind that denies your pain. But the sacred hope that grows in the believer's heart when they remember that their Lord never leaves them. Hope that says, my story is not over. Hope that whispers, Allah has better for me. Hope that hums, I am being guided. Hope that confirms, I am not alone. And from this hope, your next chapter will be written with more beauty, more peace, more meaning than you have ever known. This is the night your soul begins to rise. This is the night your heart begins to live again. And this is where the believer steps into the light of what is coming, with trust, with peace, and with renewed, living hope. The fire before you has grown steadier now, its glow reflecting softly in your eyes. The night around you feels familiar, no longer heavy or intimidating, but calm, a kind of darkness that holds space for your soul to breathe. The wind has quieted, the world has stilled, and something within you has shifted. You are not the same person who sat down in this night hours ago. You have walked through fear, through longing, through reflection, through surrender, through hope. And now, for the first time in a long while, your heart feels open to what comes next. The next part of this journey is about moving forward, not rushing, not forcing, but walking with intention, walking with faith, walking with the quiet knowledge that you are being guided. You have spent enough time standing in the doorway of your pain. Now, the light ahead calls you not to forget your past, but to walk beyond it, not to erase your scars, but to let them become part of your strength, not to deny what you've been through, but to let it refine you. Tonight, you begin your walk toward the future that has been waiting for you. Step 1, letting go of what no longer serves your journey. Moving forward always begins with release. Not because your past is unworthy, but because your soul cannot carry everything at once. There are memories that were once precious, but now feel heavy. There are habits that once comforted you, but now hold you back. There are people you once needed, but who can no longer walk with you. There are dreams you once chased, but which no longer fit the person you've become. Letting go is a form of respect for your past, for your growth, for your future. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean denying what you felt. It does not mean pretending nothing happened. Letting go simply means making space inside yourself for what Allah wants to give you next. You cannot hold new blessings with hands full of old pain. You cannot step into new chapters while gripping the edges of old ones. Tonight, let a part of you soften. Let your shoulders relax. Let your breath deepen. And whisper to yourself, it's okay to move forward. It's okay to grow. It's okay to rise. Your soul has permission to walk into something new. Step 2, realizing that healing was never meant to be instant. The world around you moves fast. People expect quick healing, quick solutions, quick recovery. But your heart was not created for speed. Your soul was not created for rushing. Your healing was never meant to be instant. Healing is a journey, a slow, deliberate, intentional journey. Not a straight path, not a clean path, but a path with curves, with falls, with pauses, with returns. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not failing. You are healing at your own pace, in your own way, with your own timing. And this slow healing, this gentle returning to yourself, is preparing you for everything you once feared you would never be ready for. Your wounds are not signs of weakness. They are signs of living. They are signs of trying. They are signs of loving deeply. They are signs of being human. You do not heal by erasing what happened. You heal by learning from it, by seeing it clearly, by understanding what it taught you, by allowing yourself to grow through it. Healing is not a moment. It is a direction. Tonight, you choose that direction, and every step counts. Step 3, trusting that Allah walks with you. The path ahead may still feel uncertain. The future may still look foggy. You may not know what to expect, but you do not walk alone. You walk with the one who knows what you cannot see. You walk with the one who hears every silent thought. You walk with the one who understands you more deeply than anyone ever could. You walk with the one who is closer to you than your own breath. You walk with the one who has guided you through every night of your life. And when Allah walks with you, your path changes. Steps become lighter. Fears become smaller. Decisions become clearer. Storms become easier to navigate. Wounds begin to mend. Doors begin to open. Allah does not guide you halfway. He guides you all the way. He does not bring you this far to leave you now. He does not let your tears fall without purpose. He does not allow your heart to break without rebuilding it stronger. He does not test you without preparing relief. Trusting Allah is not blind faith. It is faith rooted in experience. Because you have seen His mercy in your past. You have seen His protection in moments you didn't even realize it was there. You have seen His timing. Delayed, but perfect. Slow, but precise. Unclear, but wise. If the one who carried you through your hardest days promises that goodness is ahead, then goodness is ahead. And that is enough. Step 4, walking lightly without overthinking the path. Sometimes the biggest obstacle to moving forward is the mind. Your thoughts can become loud, overwhelming, spiraling, questioning everything. What if I fail? What if I'm not ready? What if I get hurt again? What if this isn't the right choice? What if the past repeats itself? Your mind tries to protect you, but sometimes it overprotects you. Sometimes it cages you in fear, in imagined scenarios, in possibilities that may never happen. Tonight, let your thoughts settle. Let your mind breathe. Let the noise fade. You do not need every answer right now. You do not need a 5-year plan. You do not need perfect certainty. You do not need to eliminate every risk. You only need to take one step. Just one. Because one step taken in faith is more powerful than 1,000 steps calculated in fear. Do not overthink the path. Walk it, trust it, live it, and trust the guide far more than the plan. Step 5. Understanding that your past does not disqualify you. There are parts of your story you hide, moments you regret, mistakes you wish you could erase, versions of yourself you no longer recognize. Sometimes you believe that your past disqualifies you from happiness, from peace, from a new beginning, from closeness to Allah. But nothing you have done is stronger than the mercy of Allah. Nothing in your past can forbid the future Allah wants to give you. Nothing in your mistakes can break His compassion. Nothing in your guilt can extinguish His forgiveness. Your past was not the end. It was the lesson, the preparation, the turning point, the awakening. You are not defined by your past. You are defined by your return, your sincerity, your effort, your hope. Some of the most beloved hearts are hearts that once wandered but found their way back. Some of the strongest believers are those who rose after falling deeply. Some of the wisest souls are those who learned from pain rather than letting it harden them. You are not disqualified. You are being prepared. Your past does not remove your worth. It refines it. Step 6. Accepting that growth means outgrowing old versions of yourself. You have grown more than you realize, more than you give yourself credit for. There are things that once broke you that no longer hold power over you. There are fears that once paralyzed you that now barely whisper. There are wounds that once bled endlessly that have now become scars, still sensitive but healed. There are habits you have outgrown, people you have outgrown, mindsets you have outgrown. This growth is not arrogance. It is evolution. It is maturity. It is faith deepening. It is wisdom rising. Do not feel guilty for not fitting into old spaces. Do not feel guilty for protecting your peace. Do not feel guilty for setting boundaries. Do not feel guilty for choosing healing over familiarity. Do not feel guilty for wanting something better for your soul. When Allah elevates you, not everyone from your past can rise with you. Growth means becoming someone your old self dreamed of being. Walk proudly in that growth. Walk gently, but walk forward. Step 7. Learning to live with a heart that trusts more than it fears. Fear will always exist. No matter how strong your faith, no matter how deep your trust, no matter how much you've grown, fear still appears. Fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of change, fear of uncertainty, fear of vulnerability, fear of new beginnings. But the believer does not eliminate fear. The believer simply carries more trust than fear. A heart filled with trust is not a heart free of fear. It is a heart where trust is heavier than worry, stronger than doubt, louder than anxiety. Tonight, shift the weight inside your soul. Let trust outweigh fear, even if only by a little, because trust does not demand that fear disappears. Trust only demands that fear does not lead the way. Let trust walk in front of you. Let fear follow behind. This is how you move forward without drowning in hesitation. Step 8. Stepping into the unknown with peace instead of panic. The unknown used to frighten you. It used to make your chest tighten, your mind race, your heart tremble. But tonight something has changed. The unknown no longer feels like a threat. It feels like an invitation. An invitation to witness Allah's plan unfold, to see blessings you never imagined, to meet people who will change your life, to walk paths you didn't know existed, to grow into a version of yourself you do not yet recognize, but are destined to become. The unknown is not empty. It is filled with what Allah has written for you. And when Allah writes, He writes with perfection. He writes with mercy. He writes with wisdom. He writes with love. Step into the unknown, not with panic, but with peace. Peace, because Allah knows. Peace, because Allah sees. Peace, because Allah plans. Peace, because Allah guides. Peace, because Allah never abandons His servants. The unknown becomes safe when you realize who is in control of it. Step 9. Embracing the quiet strength that is growing inside you. There is a strength forming inside you, not loud strength, not aggressive strength, not dramatic strength, but quiet strength, steady strength, soft strength, spiritual strength, the strength that grows when you surrender to Allah, the strength that grows when you stop fighting alone, the strength that grows when you trust the plan more than the process, the strength that grows when you find peace, even in uncertainty. It is the strength of a believer who has been broken, but rebuilt by the one who created them. The strength of a soul that has cried, but still rises. The strength of a heart that has loved deeply and continues to love. The strength of a spirit that refuses to be defined by pain. You do not realize it fully yet, but you are becoming strong, stronger than you ever imagined. This strength will carry you through the next chapters of your life, not in loud ways, but in gentle, powerful ways that only you and Allah understand. Step 10. Walking forward with faith in every breath. The fire crackles softly. The night holds you warmly. Your soul feels steadier. Your heart feels clearer. Your future feels closer. And so you stand, not physically, but spiritually. Tonight, you walk toward the light that has been waiting for you. Not because you have everything figured out, not because you feel completely healed, not because you're fearless, not because the path is simple. You walk because you trust. You walk because you hope. You walk because you know that Allah would never guide you toward a path that leads nowhere. Every step you take from this moment is a step into a life that was written with mercy. You are moving forward toward healing, toward peace, toward clarity, toward blessings, toward purpose, toward answered prayers, toward a future shaped by the grace of the one who loves you most. This is your walk now, your journey, your dawn. And as you move forward, the darkness behind you fades into memory. Tonight is the night. You reclaim your path. Tonight is the night. You choose the future. Allah has been preparing for you. Tonight is the night. You walk toward the light. The ending. A gentle closing for the journey. And so, the night draws to its final breaths. The fire that warmed your hands and your heart, your trembling spirit, has softened into a quiet, glowing ember. Its warmth remains, its light remains, but it no longer burns with urgency. It simply rests, just as your heart now rests. You came into this night carrying exhaustion that felt ancient, burdened by memories, weighed down by fears you could barely name, searching for a place to breathe, a place to fall apart without a place where your soul could whisper instead of scream. And here, in this stillness, you found it. Not because the night changed, not because the world became easier, not because the fire performed a miracle, but because something inside you finally softened, finally opened, finally allowed the mercy of Allah to reach the places you kept hidden, even from yourself. You were tired. Allah knew. You were worn, frayed at the edges, slowly unraveling where no one could see. Allah saw, and He called you back gently, not with thunder, not with fear, not with demands, but with a whisper. Come to me. Rest. Let your heart breathe. Tonight you answered that call, and every single heartbeat since then has been witnessed, held, and counted. Look at yourself now. You are not the same soul who entered this night. You are softer, calmer, heard. The weight on your chest has not disappeared entirely. No soul walks this earth without carrying something, but it no longer crushes you. It no longer owns you. It no longer steals your breath, because you remembered something essential, something the storms of life often make us forget. You are not carrying any of this alone. Every tear you shed, He saw. Every silence you endured, He heard. Every fear you swallowed, He knew. Every step you forced yourself to take, He counted.